my name's Adam, and in case you don't recognise it, I'm at Flinders Street Station in Melbourne. This is the heart of the suburban rail network. But did you know, while most of Melbourne's trains are electric trains, there's a single service that's still operated by a diesel. That's the Stony Point line. So we're going to try it out today. First, we need to catch a suburban electric service to Frankston. So let's go. In this video, we'll take a look at what happens when tram and train lines cross as we make our way south. Then we'll board a diesel sprinter for a trundle through the least used stations on the Melbourne network. This Edwardian building dating from 1909 is a cultural icon. In the first part of this journey, we'll catch an electric train to Frankston, a 43-kilometre trip through Melbourne's southeastern suburbs, taking 1 hour and 7 minutes. In Frankston, we'll change onto a diesel railcar for the 32-kilometre trip to Stony Point on the Mornington Peninsula, a journey that will take 36 minutes. The famous Flinders Street Station clocks show the next departure for each line. This is a popular meeting place. And there's the line we'll be taking. When the clocks were manually operated, they had to be changed about 900 times in an 8-hour shift. Of course, now they're automated. We'll use a Victorian public transport card, a Myki, for today's journey, which you'll need to get through these barriers. Here's a look at the route. We diverge from the Pakenham line at Caulfield. Our train is departing from platform 8. Here's our train, a Siemens EMU, which entered service in 2004. Seating is in a 2x2 arrangement.
Now arriving at Caulfield. Change here for Pakenham and Cranbourne services.
There are 3 level crossings in Melbourne where tram tracks intersect rail lines, including this one in Glenhuntly. These are called tram squares. Trains and trams operate on different voltages. There's a staffed signal box here. The signaller switches the overhead power between tram and train. The boom gates fold out to avoid hitting the overhead tram wires. For a more detailed analysis, take a look at the video by the Bus of Doom FSX, which I'll link below. This level crossing will soon be grade separated as part of Melbourne's level crossing removal project. This will see the rail corridor lowered into a rail trench, so there'll be 1 less tram square in Melbourne. And here's the view from the tram. It's very bumpy. Anyway, back onto our train trip. We get glimpses of Port Phillip Bay.
Now arriving at Carroll.
A few minutes later, we're arriving in Frankston, the end of the electrified line. Frankston is often referred to as the gateway to the Mornington Peninsula. There's our train arriving from Stony Point. Frankston Station has been upgraded a number of times, most recently in 2018. Electric trains and the Stony Point diesel often occupy the same track. This is our train, a V-Line Sprinter. We'll learn more about it later. There's only a minute or so before departure, so we better hop aboard. Within minutes, we're arriving at the first station, Leawarra. We're still in Frankston. This station also serves the Peninsula campus of Monash University. You can certainly hear the train's underfloor V8 engines. The Stony Point train is a shuttle service. There's 10 services a day from Frankston to Stony Point on weekdays and slightly fewer on weekends. Seating in the Sprinter is a mix of 2x3 and 2x2. Here are the stops on the route. Our first stop outside of Frankston is Baxter. A railway station opened here in 1888. Baxter is the least used station on the Melbourne suburban network, with fewer than 4,000 passengers per year based on pre-pandemic figures. Unsurprisingly perhaps, all the stations on this line, other than Frankston, comprise the least used on the Metro network. Legroom is fine for a commuter service. We're now coming into Somerville. Somerville Station opened as a result of the rapid growth of the fruit and dairy industries. The dairy industry needed a quick way of sending milk and cream to butter factories. The railway station opened in 1889. Take note of this motorised scooter. While boarding, the guy on the scooter accidentally accelerated into the train door on the opposite side of the train. That will have ramifications later. You can hear the scooter reversing. The line's top speed is 95 kilometres per hour. Tyabb is roughly halfway between Frankston and Stony Point. Tyabb is well known for its antique shops. The Tyabb Packing House Antique Complex is housed in an historic cool store building dating from the area's fruit growing past. Now that we're well underway, let's take a closer look at our motive power. Our train is made up of two V-line sprinters. The concept for the sprinter dates back to 1989, when the Public Transport Corporation, having seen a substantial increase in patronage and reduction in costs following the introduction of faster, more frequent services as part of the New Deal for country passengers, required additional train capacity to meet demand. Sprinters were intended to supplement loco-hauled sets on shorter regional runs, such as on the outer suburban Melbourne and Somerville lines, as well as the interurban Geelong and Seymour lines, thus providing faster and more frequent service to Melbourne's fringe areas. Today, sprinters are most often seen on V-Line's shorter regional routes, such as to Seymour on the North East line. Since 2008, a pair has been leased to Metro Trains Melbourne to operate the Stony Point service. The rail cars are rotated periodically. Hastings seems a popular station for people to alight, including our friend on the motorised scooter. Bittern is named after the shy, wetland bird, the Australasian bittern, reflecting the town's location near significant native bushland and coastal vegetation. Moradoo is not the name of a town, just the name of the railway station. It's one of 3 stations on the line serving the town of Crib Point. Until 1996, the station was called Rail Motor Stopping Place Number 15, but it was given the Aboriginal name Moradoo following a competition won by a local primary school student. The station has one of the shortest platforms in Victoria. there's not many passengers left on board now. And now on to the final stop, Stony Point. Let's talk about fares. This is a Melbourne Metro service, so Melbourne Myki fares apply. The Stony Point line is in Zone 2, so if you're travelling between Frankston and Stony Point, the full fare is $3.10. Concession fares are half this. If you're travelling from Melbourne to Stony Point, then you pay a Zone 1 plus 2 fare, which is $4.60. Again, concession is half this. We catch glimpses of Western Port Bay. The seats are fixed with half facing the direction of travel at any one time. Here you can see the mix of 2x3 and 2x2 seating. You cannot walk between cars as sprinters have driving cabs at both ends. Stony Point, a bit like Moradoo, is not a town, but a stop serving Crib Point. The train stops here just over 15 minutes before returning to Frankston. The train door, which was hit by the man on the motorised scooter, will not close. The conductor is trying to fix it. Here's a quick look in the front Sprinter. Although Sprinters have toilets, they're locked out of use when used on the Stony Point line. No Melbourne Metro trains have toilets. And here's how the station looked in 1892, just a few years after it opened. In the distance we can see French Island. There is a regular ferry between Stony Point and French Island. Overall, this journey is pleasant enough, but I wouldn't go out of your way to take it. That said, there are some nice hikes in the area if you do your research. Here's the train heading back to Frankston. Oh dear, looks like the door can't be easily repaired. It's been locked out of service. While the Stony Point train generally operates with 2 cars, in the morning and evening peak, the rail cars separate to allow for an additional service to operate with a much shorter gap than usual. The 2 Sprinters have been separated. There goes the 6:04 p.m. service. Sprinter 7013 will depart in just over 30 minutes. I'll leave you with some other views from this journey.
Now arriving at Parkdale.
I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next one. Hope to see you soon.